You are watching Reflections on Reality, presented by Kanchi.
So one of the main problems a lot of people ask me is, can I start a sadhana without a guru? Can I start this sadhana? Let's say some people want to do japa, some people want to do some nama japa, whether Rama Rama, whatever. They ask me whether they can start the japa without spiritual initiation. What is spiritual initiation? It is called Diksha in Sanskrit. So Diksha is the foundation for any spiritual sadhana. So when you begin on the spiritual path, Diksha is the foundation. Without Diksha, without spiritual initiation, how do you know what is the path? How do you know what is the goal? Right? We might have an idea saying, okay, my goal is enlightenment, or my goal is self realization, liberation, to end suffering, to find happiness, to find joy, to find eternal peace. But what is eternal peace? What is liberation? What is enlightenment? Right? To know all this, you need a first thing is you need a guru. Who is a guru? Guru is that dispeller of darkness. Guru is one who himself has experienced the self. Right? See, somebody who teaches you math is not a guru. Somebody who teaches you some science, some subjects in school. Somebody who teaches you, let's say, even some life skill, carpentry. You can call him guru out of respect, but a guru is the dispeller of darkness, means the one who will help you know your own self. Only he is guru, right? Everybody else, we can say they are acharyas or shikshak, teachers, spiritual teachers. You can even call them master if you want, no problem. But a guru, the word guru itself means dispeller of darkness. Means after the guru enters your life, there is no more darkness, there is light, and light of your own self, right? Only such a one is guru. And how does he dispel your darkness? This is only diksha. This is only spiritual initiation. So there is a Vedic rishi called Jamadagni. Everybody, I mean, a lot of people know about Jamadagni. So Jamadagni was a Vedic rishi, and he is very famous for his anger. And so, I mean, even today in villages or even in small towns, people who are familiar with our, our culture and our Puranas, they'll say if somebody gets angry, say, why are you behaving like Jamadagni? Right? So Jamadagni is very famous for his rage, for this anger. So Jamadagni had a son whose name is Parashurama. And Parashurama is considered one of the avatars of Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Right? Parashurama, everybody is aware of Parashurama. And if Jamadagni was, in anger, then Parashurama, you can say, was a befitting son to Jamadagni. He is also well known for his rage. He is famous in Ramayana also for having raged against Lord Rama. So he goes there, he goes to the court of Janaka, who is the father-in-law of Rama, to fight with Rama. See, both are Ramas. One is Raghava Rama. Means Raghava is one from Raghukula. That is who we know as Rama or Kodanda Rama, Lord Ram from Ramayana, the hero of Ramayana. And then we have Bhargava Rama. Bhargava Rama is Lord Parashurama. He is from the Bhrigukula. So Bhrigu is also a Vedic rishi. In his Gotra, in his Kula, Bhargava. I mean, his Kula are called Bhargavas. And Bhargava Rama or Parashurama is Parashu is, see, there are two things. Parashu, they call him Parashurama because he is always carrying an axe, right? So some people say that this Parashu because he is from, like they say in modern Persia also. So these are all some, historians and some Vedic scholars have come to some conclusion based on their research. But that is not important today. So why I am speaking about Parashurama is Jamadagni, his father, gets into some problem with the king of those days, who was Sahasra Arjuna. Sahasra Arjuna, not to be confused with Arjuna of Mahabharata. Sahasra Arjuna is a very famous you can say pre-Ramayana villain, very famous, before even Ravana and all this. So Sahasra Arjuna ends up killing Jamadagni. And out of rage, now Parashurama is in rage. He wants to kill the perpetrators of this crime, who is Sahasra Arjuna and all the Kshatriyas who fought against Jamadagni. So, but he's taking his father's body to the forest to, cremate the body. When he's taking his father's body, his mother, who is Renuka, who is considered an avatar of Devi herself, Renuka Devi. So, Mother Renuka stops Parashurama on the way in the forest when they see a Avaduta. When they see Avaduta is one who has given up all things. Avaduta is like an enlightened being who has given up, all beings, all material things. He doesn't. Avaduta is one who is dressed with the sky. You know what I mean? So that means that he is naked and roaming around in the forest naked. When Renuka and Parashurama see this person, Renuka tells her son, I mean, they're going to a cremation, but she tells her son, "This is your guru. Go and take Diksha from him. Go and take spiritual Diksha. Go and take Diksha for Brahma Vidya from him." But Parashurama, right now, what is he going to do? He's going to cremate, and his mind is filled with rage. So he says, nothing doing. I mean, he might be an Avaduta, he might be whatever it is. I am not interested in Diksha. First, I have to avenge my Jamadagni's death, avenge his father's death. So he goes, he cremates, and even Renuka, she is like a pativrata. So pativrata is one who is dedicated to the husband, devoted to the husband, who treats husband like a god, right? So she also immolates herself along with the along with the funeral pyre of Jamadagni, because she doesn't want to live without him. So that was that. With that, both Renuka and Jamadagni leave their mortal coils. So now Parashurama is so enraged because of this. He lost both his parents, right? So he ends up waging a war against the Kshatriyas. Sahasrarjuna has a lot of like Samantarajas, who are all his tributaries and his supporters and all that. So first, Parashurama ends up waging a war against all these people, and he also fights against Sahasrarjuna. It is said in the Shastras, in some Puranas, it is said that he killed 21 generations of Kshatriyas. So this is a very important story in most of our Puranas. It's repeated over and over again. So he ends up killing 21 generations of Kshatriyas. Those days, they say the Kshatriyas were very powerful, and they were, creating a lot of problem for other people. So their strength had become too much, physical prowess, and also their mindset was very Rajasika. So having said that, Parashurama ended up killing annihilating 21 generations. Right after this annihilation of 21 generations, when he had completely weakened the lineage of the Kshatriyas, he finally came back to that forest, and now there is some kind of a remorse came over him. And some kind of a remorse came over him, and he wanted to do penance for his actions. It's called Prayaschita. Because in that war against those people, I'm sure a lot of innocents also might have died. We don't know. So for Prayashchita, he came. So at that time, again, he met that Avaduta. Right? And then finally, Parashurama took the initiation from that Avaduta. He accepted that Avaduta as his guru and learned Brahma Vidya from him, and then attained his true state. So even though he had met the Avaduta before, his mind had not ripened at that time, because his mind was filled with rage and all this, the sense of revenge and vengeance. So because of this sense of vengeance, he could have attained Brahma Vidya much before. So this is called Kala, Kshetra and Sandarbha. Even though that Kshetra was there, that same forest was there where the Avaduta was there, But and the sandarbha also arose, as in that situation also arose where his mother himself, other herself told him that you can take initiation right now and you will attain yourself right now, because that is the power of that Avaduta. But you can say the time was such, the time was not ripened, or Parashurama himself at that time was not in that state of mind to accept Brahma Vidya. So 21 generations later, Parashurama of the Purana, these are all Puranic stories. And then he attained, uh, after doing Prayaschitta, he attained Brahma Vidya. He attained his own his self with the help of his guru, who is Dattatreya. So Dattatreya is considered an avatar of Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. He is generally pictured with three heads. All the three heads. The one head is Shiva, one head is Brahma, and one head is Vishnu. He is the son of sage Atri and Anasuya. But whatever it was, he attained Brahma Vidya because the Guru, that is Dattatreya, gave him Diksha. So attaining the feet of the Guru, surrendering to the feet of the Guru, he attained self-realization. Why do we need Diksha? The first problem is people don't know where to start. Where do I start my journey? Now, okay, I have decided, I have made a decision that this life is whatever it is, I want to attain happiness, and true happiness lies within my heart. Now I want to attain this happiness, or I want to attain peace, right? I want to be on the spiritual path. But where do I start? Should I do japa? Should I meditate on, Mahavishnu? Who is my guru? Where to find my guru? All these questions arise in the spiritual seeker's mind, right? First, because they don't know where to start. Second thing is, they don't know how to solve a problem. So a lot of people know, say today now on YouTube or in books, all the Upanishads are available today. If you go to any websites and you go to like your browser and search, you will find Upanishads. Which Upanishad do you want? Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, okay, Katha Upanishad. All the Upanishads are there. Upanishads are the cream, right? So they are the cream of the Vedas. All these things are available. So any of us can pick up a book and read. But even though they are reading, and let's say some people understand the Upanishads also, sometimes not everybody can understand the meaning, the hidden meaning of the Upanishads. Not everybody can churn out the hidden truths of the Upanishads. Even if you manage to some degree, now how do you meditate? How do you put it into practice? Right? And even if you meditate, how are you going to get the fruits of that meditation? Sometimes you are stuck. So first problem is we don't know where to start. Second problem is we don't know how to solve our problems. If there is any spiritual problem, suppose I have some issues for example, even when I was younger, when I used to meditate, I would always see a blank wall, right? A blankness, a darkness. Now, what is this darkness? Is this Atman? I don't know. What? There's silence, right? The mind goes silent, but there is only darkness. So how do you go beyond this darkness? Right? So even I used to wonder, when will I find, where can I find a guru? Where can I find some answer? You can't find answers of these sorts of things on Google. Right? You cannot find answers. You could try Googling and all that. It's like it's not the right approach, because you will not find the actual problem, because what you are experiencing is something very personal to you. Right? Only a serious meditator, only an advanced practitioner, or somebody on your path. And what I'm saying is either somebody on your path who's walking with you, to an extent they can help, but they cannot provide the answer because they also will be struggling with something similar. They could be struggling with something similar. So only a person who has crossed over this samsara, right? He has crossed over this river bank and gone to the other bank. You got it? Who has crossed over? Let's say he has jumped over the compound. This compound is samsara. That across that compound is Kailasa. Only somebody on the other side can take you that side. Can sit on the compound, maybe drag you out or something. Right? So only a realized person can help you. Nobody else can provide you lasting solutions. The first problem is we don't know where to start. Second problem is we don't know how to solve problem. The third issue is we don't know where to find a guru, or we don't know how to get initiated. What is initiation? We don't know what is initiation or how to get initiated. Right? So let us today simplify it. Right? First try to understand what is Diksha and the different types of Dikshas. See, there is no one Diksha. Generally, what we think Diksha is mantra Diksha. Somebody comes and whispers or tells you, chant Om. Somebody comes and tells you, okay, chant Om, you start chanting Om. Is this Diksha? Right? We'll study it. Today we will try to go into it and we'll try to understand. Right? So I'll tell you a story. See, for me, Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi is like for me everything, right? So till I found him, I was also wondering about. I don't know where to go. I didn't know what to start. I tried. When I was younger, see, I started meditating when I was very young. Because of at a very young age, I had some kind of a spiritual experience which made me become aware of myself, not in a physical way, but in a spiritual way. So I realized that there is something in me which is not the body or the mind. There's something separate in me which is looking at the universe, right? Which is looking at the universe, but it is not the body. So if somebody says Kanchi, I knew that this body is called Kanchi, or this identity, this individual is Kanchi, but I felt alien to that. Even now, when someone calls out my name, I'm not completely accepting that this is, me. It is just a name for this body. So something like this awakened in me when I was very young, and because of this awakened awareness, a sense of introversion came over me. So I would lie down on the terrace at my grandmother's house, and I would just look at the sky, and just try to meditate on the emptiness of the sky. So I would see the clouds moving, and then I would try to look beyond the clouds, see what is there beyond the clouds. So meditating on Akasha. So things like this. Some days I would do that. See, every time growing up, I would try lots of meditations. My grandfather would chant. He was a bhakta of Panduranga Vittala. So he would go on chanting in the house, Vittala, Vittala, Panduranga, things like that. So even I would copy him. Whatever he would do, I would also copy things like that. But whatever it is, finally, though I was doing many things, I would find some guru. So I would find some book in some library about some guru. I'll read the book and try to meditate from those teachings. Whether it resonates with me or not, I did not even bother. I would start meditating. Somebody tells, okay, do so this meditation, it is very good. Do this kind of asana, do this kind of mudra. So some they would say Shambhavi mudra, where you are staring at your Bhru Madhya, Agna Chakra. I would sit and look at, do all kinds of gymnastics trying to attain myself, or not even attain myself, trying to meditate. So all this was continuing. I had not found a guru. I didn't know this concept that I need a guru, that I have to go and get a guru, or I have to, surrender to a guru or anything like that. So when I was in college, I had gone to Ramanashram. See, for me right now, this point in my life, Ramanashram is like home. I don't live there, but whenever I go, I feel a sense of not just Ramanashram, but whole Arunachala Kshetra. I feel like I've come home. I'm so comfortable that I don't think I'll be comfortable in my own house, So it's like that. But the first time I went to Ramanashram, this was way back, maybe, when I was in college, very young, just out of school. I went there and I did not even enter the ashram. I entered the ashram, but I was sitting in the parking lot. Because I asked a friend of mine, like, why everybody else entered. I had gone, I think it was a college excursion or some picnic, something like that. So a friend of mine had eaten non-veg. He said, I've eaten non-veg. So I will not enter the ashram because of this. I will not enter the temple and all those sections of the ashram. He was just sitting in the parking lot. So I am a very loyal friend. I told him, even I will not enter. So we had traveled all the way. It was a couple 100 kilometers, whatever. But I did not enter the ashram because my friend did not enter the ashram. I was trying to be loyal to him. So I did not even go in. So this was my first instance of visiting Ramana Ashram, and I didn't feel anything. Like another place. I'm just in college. My idea is, excursion, going out with friends, having a good time, and we were passing by. I think we were going to Pondicherry or something like that. But even this trip changed my life. Only later I realized how this changed my life. Right. So that was the first time I went. I did not feel anything. There was no calling. There was no, "Oh, I met my guru. I saw my guru." Nothing. I never felt like I come to any special place. And many years later, maybe 5 years later or 6 years later, once again I returned to the ashram. This time, I returned to the ashram with another guru. See, there was a sannyasi, and he had his own retinue and all of that. And he is very well respected around India. So whenever he would, like this time, I traveled with him, and he was going to all the temples in Tamil Nadu. So one of the cities he had stopped over is Tiruvannamalai. So we went to the temple also in Tiruvannamalai. Directly we went to the Garbhagudi, which is the sanctum sanctorum. So I was, in a different state of mind where I'm feeling like I'm getting free access to all these temples, and I was very excited. But it was more of a sense of I'm getting access, free access. Otherwise, everybody knows how difficult it is to enter temples or to get darshan of deities, and spend more time in the sanctum sanctorum. That so almost whole of Tamil Nadu, some places elsewhere also, we got a lot of like free entry into, because I was traveling with him. And one of the places I visited was Ramanashram. So I was walking with him. With alongside, I went inside. This time I went inside the Samadhi hall of Ramana Maharshi. Right. Even though I went, Samadhi hall is the resting place of the mortal remains of the Mahasamadhi place of Ramana Maharshi. So it's like a temple. The Shivlinga is built over it. So I entered, and very quickly, just I was just copying whatever this Swamiji was doing. I walked around with him and walked out. So this was the second time I went to Ramanashram, and no effect on my being as such. I was not nothing. I didn't even think about it. It was one of the many places I had gone. And then after this, see, so why I'm telling you this is I'm trying to explain how the relationship began and how it blossomed, right? So then after I went the second time, I realized, oh, okay, this person, this Ramana Maharshi, I have heard of him. I have seen him somewhere, or I'm aware of him. It was a very familiar face. So when I was back in school and just out of school, a friend of mine had given me a book on Ramana Maharshi, and I'm an avid reader. So I used to read all kinds of books, and I used to read everything. If you give me a 700-page book, I would finish in maybe 3-4 days. Avid reader. I didn't do anything else. So even Ramana Maharshi's book I tried to read when I was younger. So I've read Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, that time Vivekananda, Osho, and whatever you name it, all the books that were available in the market, I would pick up and read. But for some reason, Ramana Maharshi's books never resonated with me. I tried to read, and I couldn't understand, because he was saying you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're the self, and there are some many things. Just for some, right now, I think it is very simple. I think it's the simplest teaching in the world. Bhagavan's teachings, to me, is like the simplest teaching. It's the easiest teaching in the world for anyone to understand. I would read about Tantra and Kundalini and chakras and all these things written by other authors and completely understand or practice. But Ramana Maharshi's teachings, I did not understand a word. So that book also I kept aside. That book was always around. It used to move around from one bookshelf to another. If I'm traveling, it will go to another shelf. But I never read it. Right? So this is my basic introduction to Bhagavan. Right? And again, after going the third time, one more time when I was traveling, when I was in a holiday in Goa or something, that time a friend of mine gave me a very thin leaflet of like a book of Bhagavan of Ramana Maharshi. It was called, I think, Who Am I? I think, Who Am I? This was the first time. This is a 10, almost 7-8 years after or 10 years after my first what do you say, introduction to Ramana Maharshi, to Bhagavan. After 10 years, I read one book, which was maybe 14 pages or 18 pages. And I kept the book aside. I said, this man, I don't understand this man, this person's teachings, I don't understand. And then I went to, I was traveling and I went to Hong Kong. So this was again 5 years later. In Hong Kong, when I was sitting in Hong Kong, in my room, suddenly, whatever I had read previously, whatever I had read about Ramana Maharshi, see, I forgot everything I had read, but only that one question remained. And what was that question? Who am I? The title of the book was Who Am I? And somewhere the essence of the book was self enquiry. That is, find out who you are. Right? So, whatever Bhagavan's teachings, anybody who's familiar with Bhagavan's teachings, it's about self enquiry and seeking out the real self, the true self that is within you. When I was sitting, I was not meditating, I was not planning to meditate anything. I was in Hong Kong on a business, on a work trip, right? I was out there for a project. And while sitting there, suddenly that question arose in me. The question was, who am I? Who am I? And that question is not just like a thought, it was like like an energy arising in me, right? And this energy, that question took me back with it. So think of it like a wave and taking me back with it. And I was not meditating, but maybe 3 or 4 hours I was absorbed in that question. In the not just the question, but the sense of I amness. The question arose spontaneously and it subsided spontaneously and took my identity or my ego, my sense of awareness deep within, right? Just spontaneous. And for at least 3 or 4 hours, I was absorbed in this question. And I had meditated all my life till then. Maybe every day, I was meditating, I was doing a lot of things. But this day, suddenly, and it was Bhagavan's teaching, it was, who am I? Only later, this is after maybe a few months, I got to know that the room I was staying in, previously, a very, can't say famous, but a guru who's known to be enlightened, right? A liberated guru was staying in that same room, right? Had come and stayed in that room. So that room had a sense of that presence was there of a presence of holiness, of presence of sacredness. So I didn't know whether I have to attribute this sense, this presence of sacredness, or the sense of it was something like it almost felt tangible. It was some kind of a spiritual energy, right? So I don't know if I should attribute that experience or that absorption to that or the book I had read before, right? So even though the book was never understood, it was in my subconscious and it arose at this time. And after my experience in Hong Kong, when I came back to my hometown, I was renting out a place and I entered a house and I saw this photo of Bhagavan, Ramana Maharshi's photo. Even till then, I was not aware of how he looks exactly, the details or anything. But just looking at the picture, I was mesmerized. I took the place. I rented out the place and I requested the owner to leave the picture behind, not to take that away. And this picture became the mainstay of my house. So every day I would come, I would look at this picture. I was slowly that you can say that infatuation or love or obsession, whatever you want to call it, it came. Just looking at that picture, I would feel a sense of peace, sense of calmness. Till even now, I did not know much about his teaching. I just had that one leaflet I had read, that booklet, who am I? And incidentally, I found a book that was published in 1910 about Arunachala after I moved into that place. In that book, it was written about Arunachala Mahatma, all the glories of Arunachala. So, first time I read that this Arunachala mountain that is in Tiruvannamalai is Shiva himself. So, it did not make any sense to me. How can a mountain be Shiva? Right? But there was some deep fascination. I said, maybe these people, poetic. I'm also a creative person. So I felt maybe it's poetic license, right? They're saying, okay, this hill must be beautiful to look at, or Must be some holy place, and they are calling it Shiva itself. So, in this glory of Arunachala, I read a lot of things. I read about Bhagavan. It was a again, a small book. It was maybe 36, 80 pages, maybe. So, after this, after almost 10 years or 15 years of my first visit to Ramanashramam, I went back to Tiruvannamalai. I didn't know anything. I didn't know you can stay in the ashram or any of that. I just took some hostel, some room outside, and I visited Arunachala Kshetra. Right now, after 15 years of roaming around the world, trying to meet different gurus, and I was meeting a lot of gurus, I was trying a lot of techniques, doing a lot of courses, you name it, I was doing all that. 15 years later, when I entered that ashram, suddenly I felt like I was home. This is home. I found all my answers. Whatever was bothering me, I'm not saying everything was sorted, but whatever was bothering me, I knew I could find those answers there. There, as in not just Ramanashram, but with Bhagavan. So I felt this is the person who can solve my problems. Whatever, psychological, mental, emotional issues, spiritual things. I just felt a deep, like you meet your mother, right? See, we all want, wherever you go, if you one hug with your mother, you feel at peace, right? You talk to your mother, you come back home, you feel like, okay, now I've come home. Similarly, when I went back to Ramana Ashram, I felt I've come home. And whatever I'd read in the book, see, my upbringing was not very religious or anything. So when I first tried to read these books, I always would read it with some sense of doubt only. Arunachala, what is Shiva got to do with a mountain here and all that. But beyond doubt, once I went there with the right attitude, right? First time I went, I was not at all mature, spiritually mature, you can say. First time when I went with my friend, I was not ready to be in the go inside. Second time I went there with pride. I'm getting special access. So it was with pride. It was not with a sense of surrender. I did not go there to meet Bhagwan. You know, I went there with sense of pride, like I'm, something special or whatever. But this third time when I went, even though there was some doubts, all the small doubts vanished. Because by then already that relationship had had been honed, and not by me. So what I'm saying is this is only anugraha. Anugraha is grace of the Guru. Unknown to me, from my very birth, this invisible hand has been guiding me. And I believe that it took me there. Right? Once I went to Arunachala, naturally my struggles, my spiritual struggles dropped. Whatever states of, spiritual experiences I was having, even those stopped. Till then I was getting some, I used to think, okay, I'm special, I'm getting this kind of I won't say siddhi, but there's some experience. I was having visions, or I was having some experiences, I was able to do things. It was all immaterial. Once I came here, I saw what is the truth and what has to be rejected. So this is anugraha. This is only called grace of the Guru. So whether you know it or no, whether you are aware of it, see, I was not aware of anything. But this invisible hand was taking me, drawing me closer and closer. And finally, you can say that I came to Arunachala. See, Arunachala doesn't mean you have to be there all the time. You have to keep visiting every 3 days. Arunachala is a state of mind. See, Arunachala itself is grace. Right? It's a state of being. So whatever, till then, whatever I was reading about karma. Karma is, it is so difficult. This kind of karma is difficult to break. That kind of ego has to be broken first. So a lot of confusion in philosophies, right? How to attain the self. You cannot attain, see, what I was told is you cannot attain self-realization in this lifetime. You need hundreds of lifetimes, things like that. But when I came here, suddenly this whole this whole study of self-realization became something like sulabha, something easy, right? Something like it is easy. It is just, it's your life. Live your life. Be as you are. It became easy. The struggle disappeared. right? So this is the, I can say this was the onset of grace in my life. And needless to say, when I looked at that mountain, I felt whatever they have written in the book, see, they have written in the book that is Shiva, whatever they have written in the book is lesser. Because the attraction, the magnetism of that mountain, when you enter, when you go on the mountain, or when you even gaze at the mountain, the spiritual power with which it is vibrating is unmatched. Anywhere in the world, it is unmatched. The spiritual power and the power to withdraw your mind into your heart, when you go there, it's not like you become powerful or you feel some energy or energy rising up. No, you are withdrawn. It is said that Arunachala drags all the Gnana yogis to that kshetra. It's specific to Gnana yogis, to all the Gnanis. It bestows Gnana, it bestows self knowledge. And so, whatever they write in the glories of Arunachala, Arunachala Mahatmya, all these things you can say is much lesser. But I had gone there many times, but I never experienced. Only when I went there, with a state of mind that was open, that was curious, that, and I went there with a surrendered, with love, without expectation. Only then I found what I was looking for.
If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. And thanks for watching. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.